Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My fiance and I, male 35, female 36, have been together for 2 years. Before me, he was in a relationship with A, female 30, for 3 years. After they broke up, A and my fiance's sister, future sister-in-law, female 30, continued to be best friends. A is very beautiful. She is tall, blonde, and athletic. My fiance's family loves her, especially future sister-in-law and my future mother-in-law. I truly believe they still wanted my fiance to be with her. Instead, he proposed to me, short, dark, and cynical. I'm sick today, so I called work and stayed in bed. I texted fiance that I was homesick, but he must have forgotten or not seen the text. Around lunch, I heard my fiance come home with future mother-in-law and future sister-in-law. He was helping future sister-in-law move, and they dropped by with lunch. I heard my fiance leave with the trash, and not a second later, future mother-in-law and future sister-in-law started making fun of my kitchen, my taste, my looks, and literally everything. I knew they didn't like me, but I didn't know they hated me this much. Future mother-in-law then talked about how she was planning to get A to donate her eggs to us, because then her grandchildren would be beautiful and healthy. My parents are fat and diabetic. The way the discussion went, it felt like future mother-in-law and future sister-in-law have been discussing this seriously, and A is probably not opposed to it. Apparently, she had already donated an egg to a couple she is friends with. I pretended to be asleep and didn't make a sound. When they left, I told my fiancé everything. He was shocked, but didn't think it was something I should be heard about because they're talking a load of crap. I told him that I hated his family and that I didn't want them in my wedding. He was very hurt and said that this would be a big problem. He just cannot exclude his mother and sister. I told him then let us elope, so we don't need to exclude anybody. He didn't answer me. I don't know how this will go, to be honest. Can I have a happy marriage with a man that I love more than anything, but I hate his family? Or is this always going to be a rift in the relationship and maybe a source of resentment, whether we stayed a part of his family or not? I think the biggest issue isn't even OP hating them, or them obviously disliking OP. It's that OP's fiancé is not having OP's back. If he is not willing to openly address this with them, defend OP, and do what's necessary for their relationship, OP should prepare for a marriage full of him defending them and OP being alone and having to endure. He needs to be real clear where his priorities lie, because his actions say that OP should just get over his family absolutely disrespecting her for as long as they're together, and that OP has to deal with the fallout as well as emotions from that by herself. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Georgia JL38 says, just wondering how his mom planned on broaching the subject with you of allowing A to donate eggs to you when yours are perfectly fine. I mean, seriously, how did she expect that conversation to go? It sounds to me as if mother-in-law and sister-in-law were trash-talking you just to vent. Myself, I'd have recorded them and marched downstairs during the babbling and mentioned how I couldn't wait to share their true feelings with their son, brother. I'm petty like that. Astronaut number 920 says, he doesn't see a problem with how they even spoke to you. Your concern should be if your marriage can even sustain these people, not your wedding. Your wedding lasts a day. Your marriage should last for years. Can you imagine tolerating this kind of disrespect for the next 20 years? Or them talking about you like this and your children hearing them? MS Phelps 77 says, oh my God, hell no. This will never get any better. You deserve so much better than this. This makes me mad. And it's not even my problem. Please reconsider this relationship, or you will be setting yourself up for a lifetime of pain. Best of luck to you. Basically, my grandmother always wanted a grandson. When I was born, she loved me as her firstborn grandchild, no doubt, but would always pressure my parents into producing a son. They had a second child, another girl, my sister when I was 7. She was visibly disappointed. Then when I was 10, she finally had her wish completed when my brother was born. Needless to say, she spoiled him rotten. I didn't care as I was 10 years older, but my sister, who was only 3, was majorly affected by Grandma's behavior. We lived with our grandparents as both our parents had jobs, and my grandma basically neglected her. She never received any love, would only be yelled at and criticized. Even when it was my brother's fault, she would get the scolding. It resulted in her behaving out and making a scene to receive any little attention. When our parents would come back, she would always portray my sister as a problematic child, and as my parents didn't spend much time with us, they believed that our son was the only good kid. I stopped talking to my brother completely by the age of 18, as he turned into this annoying piece of crap who had absolutely no respect for anyone. When my parents realized and tried to discipline, he would whine and run to my grandma, who didn't let anyone say a single word. I warned my parents and left for university. I only contacted my sister. We grew super close, and we were each other's best friends, while my brother would always ignore my calls when our parents would pass the phone and tell him to talk, not even wishing me a happy birthday, etc. Years went by. I, 27, have a great job. My sister, 20, is studying medicine. She passed with the best grades, got scholarship, and I decided to pay the rest of her tuition and living expenses so she can focus on studies. While my brother, 17, is basically failing high school, and to make things worse, he knocked up his girlfriend. She wants to keep the baby, and my grandma expects me to help them as they will soon have a newborn. I refused and told her to take responsibility of her golden child on her own. She told me my sister doesn't need my help, and she can pay for her own expenses. I should rather give that money to my brother. It's my duty as his older sister to help him. I told her I only have one younger sibling, and she is the only one who I will help. Well, she gave me an ultimatum, saying if I don't help my brother, I won't be a part of the inheritance. Should I just financially help my brother and his girlfriend, or just let him work for it? Honestly, I think OP won't be a part of the inheritance, even if she does help her brother. She's going to give most of it to the golden child anyway. OP should tell her to take that inheritance and any money she has and help out her golden child. He is not OP's responsibility, and OP's money is her money. And now let's hear the community's opinion. What's My Password 73 says, "Nope, let it all fall to pieces. People that threaten family to obey due to the mythical inheritance often won't have the money they pretend to. They won't give it to you anyways, and who wants to be controlled like that?" Confused at 63 says, "Depends on how bad you want an inheritance. Monetary manipulation is just plain wrong in my opinion. If it were me, I would just blow grandma off. Never bother to tell her or anyone why. Just poof. You and your sister are no longer a part of their world, and vice versa. Why help someone that doesn't deserve it? Your grandma might not even keep her word and leave everything to him anyway. Maybe if she gives you the deed to her house before you help him, or something else of tangible value. Don't do it if you aren't getting something in return. Something of greater value than you are going to give us help. Something legal that she can undo." This is my, female 35, brother's wife, female 29. My brother, male 31, and her have been together since high school. They've been married for 9 years. They have 4 kids, a girl, 5 years old, twin boys, 4 years old, and another boy, 3 years old. She's currently pregnant with their 5th kid. She got a degree from college, but she completely ditched her career when she got pregnant with their first baby. My brother took over the family business, so I guess they're well enough financially. Ever since she had her first child, she got into this annoying mother mindset, in which she literally can't talk about anything else than her kids and how much she loves motherhood. She's always giving advice to anyone who is listening, always asking dumb questions that she already knows by now, just to keep the focus on her and her kids. I have 2 kids myself, so I was always understanding and tried to help her, especially with her first child, since I already was a mom at that time. But ever since the twins, she's turning more annoying every time we meet. She can go on and on for hours about her kids, her marriage, her house, basically just bragging about how perfect her life is. She seems to believe that she's in some sort of fairy tale or something. She comes across as childish sometimes. Well, I got tired of it. She was in the middle of bragging about how easy it was for her to get pregnant again when I asked her if she knew how insensitive she was sounding. She said that she just feels fortunate for her fertility. I let it go that time, but then she started talking about how much she enjoys motherhood and how she feels this was her call. She said that it's so easy and she can't imagine prioritizing a career instead of her children. Well, I snapped at that. I told her that she should stop bragging about her perfect life like that, without a care if the other women near her have fertility issues or financial problems that don't allow them to just sit at home all day looking after the kids. She got defensive and said I'm just jealous because my marriage is a failure, so I can't be happy for her. I told her that she sounded like an entitled child, along with some other things, and she started crying. Now I'm the a-hole because I can't be happy for my own nibblings and their mother? I'm seriously struggling to see how I'm wrong here. That's why I'm asking here. Edited to add. Should have made this more clear, but she thinks that women who prioritize a career instead of their children are bad mothers. For an example, she thinks that my marriage is failing because I work instead of staying home and focusing entirely on my children, my husband. Yes, OP's sister-in-law really sounds annoying, to be honest. And OP is right saying that before speaking, she should consider other people's feelings, as there might be someone in the room who struggles with fertility, or is not that fortunate to be a stay-at-home mom, so it really might sound like she is rubbing it in their face. It sounds like OP has been ignoring her behavior for a long time already, and looks like she ran out of patience at the end. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Background Town says, "You're the a-hole. This really comes off as jealousy. Just because her conversation about her happiness rubs you the wrong way because you don't have it, doesn't mean she's bragging." RLS 2023 says, "Not the a-hole. She sounds annoying as duck, and a complete bore if all she can talk about are kids, home, etc. You can be a stay-at-home mom and still have the ability to talk about things outside of your own nuclear family. Your brother has to validate her though, because that's all she's got. And maybe her being so blissful makes him feel good too. Limit time with her to what is necessary. She isn't going to stop." Unlikely Parfait 606 says, "Everyone sucks here. She sounds overbearing. She obviously has no identity left on her own. She is now solely a mother and has nothing else of worth to talk about. I totally get how annoying that is, but you could have been more eloquent about it. I don't think you are jealous per se, just tired of the repetitive dull talk about nothing." I'm a 26 male, and my older sister Julie is 28 female. Julie is married to Tanner, 29 male, and they have 2 kids that are 6 years and 5 months old. I've been best friends with Kyle, 26 male, since we were in diapers. Kyle is engaged to Kathy, 28 female, and have a wedding date set in November. Kathy and Julie went to high school together and have been close friends for years. Kyle and I both work at a gym that Tanner owns. We all live in a town with less than 2,000 people that live here. 2 weeks ago, I was out with Tanner getting lunch before heading back to work, when Tanner started to swear while looking at his phone. He showed me the phone, and while looking on his baby camera app, Tanner saw Julie and Kyle kissing and getting intimate. Tanner started yelling at me, asking if I knew about it, where I was in shock and told him no. Tanner started taking screenshots of the images and said he was going home for the day. That night, he ended up confronting his wife, my sister, Julie. She admitted to having an affair with Kyle, my best friend, for months. Kathy was out of town that night, but Tanner called her to tell her what was going on. Kathy came back the next day and immediately called off the wedding and kicked Kyle out of the house. Tanner took the same route and also asked Julie to leave the house so he could think over how to go about separating while also keeping the children in mind. A few days later, Julie and Kyle decided to move out of town and to a town 20 minutes away and rent an apartment together. 2 days ago, I helped to move them in, and I'm getting a lot of heat from Tanner and Kathy. Kyle is my best friend, and Julie is my sister, and I know what they did was wrong, but I also know that they don't have a lot of support at the moment, and they are both family to me. This takes us to today. Tanner is now telling me I am not allowed to see my niece and nephew, since I decided cheaters are more important than him. I also lost my job today, where Tanner was my boss. I'm stuck in the middle where my best friend and sister were the ones who had the affair, but Kathy has become like family, as well as Tanner and my niece and nephew. I'm stuck in the middle of the family drama, as I am the single one of our now broken friend group of 5. Edit. For clarification on the moving process. I was helping my sister move out of the house she had with Tanner and move into her new place, and found out while helping her unload that Kyle was moving in with her as well. I took everything out of the car and left. I haven't talked to them since. SL33P1 says, "Save face, my dude. Apologize to Tanner and move on with life. Small town means alienation when they all find out. Icy Calligrapher says, how the F does she have the energy or desire for an affair while having a 5-month-old? Adventurous Roe says, Tanner needs to do a DNA test on his kids. I, 28 female, have been planning my wedding for over a year now, and my fiance, 30 male, and I finally found our dream venue with the perfect date set for late summer this year. We deliberately chose a weekday because it was significantly more affordable, and we're both okay with a smaller, more intimate gathering that a weekday might necessitate due to some people not being able to take time off work. Now, here comes my cousin, Lily, also 28 female. She's always been a bit spontaneous and a free spirit. She recently announced her pregnancy, and the baby is due right around the time of our wedding. It's her first child, and she's incredibly excited, as we all are for her. The problem started when she asked me if we could swap our wedding date for hers, which is scheduled for a few months earlier at the same venue. Lily's reasoning is that she wants to have her wedding day before the baby comes, and since she's already a few months along, her options for dates are limited. Also, she's been quite emotional about not wanting to be heavily pregnant in wedding photos. Her date is smack dab in the middle of my busiest season at work, where I typically work overtime, and taking days off is practically impossible. Not only would swapping dates be a logistic nightmare for me, but it would also mean losing some of the vendors we've booked, as they may not be available on the new date. Moreover, we carefully curated our guest list, with several important guests needing to book flights and time off work for our original date. If we were to change it now, with only 5 months' notice, it would likely inconvenience them and lead to lower attendance. On top of that, my fiance and I chose our date because it has sentimental value to us. It's the anniversary of when we first met. When I tried to explain this to Lily, she became upset, claiming that family should always come first, and I was being selfish for not accommodating her situation. Now, some family members are taking her side, saying it's just one day, and I should make the sacrifice for her sake. I've had a couple of sleepless nights over this, feeling torn. On one hand, I want to be supportive of Lily during this exciting time in her life, but on the other, I feel like my fiancé and I have reasons that hold just as much weight for wanting to keep our planned date. So, am I the a-hole for not swapping my wedding date with my cousin, even though she's pregnant and has a tighter time frame to get married? Substantial Youth says, not the a-hole. Lily is selfish and entitled as hell. Why should you swap your wedding day? Lily got pregnant and decided that she did not want to be heavily pregnant during her wedding day. If she wanted to be married first, she should have been more careful or adequately timed better. Then, to pull the family first card and get family members involved is manipulative and conniving. It is not just your day, but also your husband's. Invites, etc. have already been in the works and probably sent out. Tell Lily a firm no, and if she and any other family members have an issue with it, then they can be uninvited. Your wedding day, your happiness. Lily showed you that she doesn't care about you, and she can't get everything she wants just because of pregnancy. Tater Tot says, not the a-hole. You picked the date and booked vendors, which, like you said, may not be available on the new date, and you could lose your deposit. She shouldn't have gotten pregnant in the middle of planning. David Jorline says, the fact that your cousin got pregnant and decided to get married quickly isn't your problem. To ask you to change long-term plans of yours, which has sentimental reasons, is actually very selfish of her. She can get married if she wants to, but has decided that your wedding venue is the only one she wants. She needs to be the one to compromise.